A Christmas Story. I kind of warned you guys ahead of time that I was going to do a Christmas series that's going to be a little funner. Going to do the classic these days, A Christmas Story. When it first came out, it wasn't actually that popular. It was almost a box office bomb. I mean, it really wasn't that popular. Yeah. It came, it wasn't until a few years down the road that it actually gained prominence. And now, during the holiday season, we have a 24 hours of A Christmas Story where it plays on repeat for 24 hours straight. Oh, you can't get enough. Honestly, A Christmas Story is probably one of my favorite Christmas movies. As you've just heard, about once a year, yeah. As you've just heard, Sherry can't stand this movie. She's like, I hate this movie. And to be totally honest with you, I can't say I blame her. Even though I love this movie, it is a ridiculously stupid movie. It's dumb. I mean, it's like, really? I mean, it's like the movie Dumb and Dumber. Like, with narration, exactly. It's like, this movie is like, it's a stupid movie. But despite all the stupidity in it, there actually are lessons that can be pulled out of this movie. I was rather surprised myself. And no, the lesson is not, you'll shoot your eye out. Well, maybe it is, but I don't know. I get to that part in the movie, and I'm like, why would you set that up against something metal? He did. Shoot your eye out. The icicle. The movie starts out by talking about Christmas, and the narrator, which is Ralphie as an adult, it starts out by talking about Christmas, which is the holiday which the entire kid year revolves. Everything in the kid year revolves around Christmas. And he goes off into this spiel about gifts and mechanical electronic joy in the window of the Higbee's store. And the official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle. I had to go back and listen to that to find out what he actually says there. That's what it is. It's the official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle, and I can't say it as fast as he can. And not only is it about this BB gun that he wants, but it is this idea of how to manipulate his parents into getting him one. The movie is all about the material side of the Christmas holiday. And while it's a good movie and it's entertaining, it really honestly personifies the attitude towards the Christmas holiday season. I'm not saying gifting is bad. Gifting is a wonderful thing, as a matter of fact. In fact, we find it all throughout Scripture that gifts are a good thing. Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. God gave us this gift in Jesus that came in the form of this baby in a manger that grew up. Lest we forget what that baby in a manger, thank you, Scotty, grew up to do. It is a gift of God. Salvation is a gift. Philippians 4:16 and 17. For even in Thessalonica you sent a gift more than once for my needs. Not that I seek the gift itself, but I seek for the profit which increases on your account. Here, Paul is writing to the Philippian church about their monetary gifts that they are supporting Paul with in his journeys. Gifting is not a bad thing. Gifting is a very good thing. 1 Timothy 4:14. Do not neglect the spiritual gift within you, which was bestowed upon you through prophetic utterance with the laying on of hands by the presbytery. This one talking about the spiritual gifts that you've been given, which we've talked about 100 and 1,000 times. Each one of us have a gift that is given to us through the Spirit. We've all been gifted with some. Gifting is not a bad thing. But here's the point. When all Christmas becomes is more of an anticipation of, I want my presents, then that's where we go wrong. Because as adult Ralphie says in the beginning of the movie, the entire kid year revolves around Christmas. In September, August and September, we begin asking kids, what do you want for Christmas? We were in Florida for Christmas in 2012. And we had 4 boys with us that we were fostering at that time. And a church down there, oh my gosh. A church down there called Sherry up and asked if they could bring some gifts over, we could come and get them. We went to the church to go pick them up. I couldn't hardly get them all in the car. We got them home, and these boys had no idea what to do with them. They'd never opened a gift in their entire life. The oldest were 6 and 3. What's this? Is this for us? Yes, it's for you. Do we get to keep it? Yeah. You get to keep it. They had no idea. They usually got their toys from the dumpster, they said. Oh, it was something he talked about, and he was proud of it. That's what they did. We take advantage of some of the things that we've got in our life. When Christmas becomes all about the gift, that's where we go wrong. See, we take advantage of us. Most of us have piles of stuff in our homes as it is now. More stuff than we know what to do with. Sherry and I have been going through our house, and we've probably got we've got part of the house packed up now, but if we haven't seen it in the last 6.5 years and it's been in a box, guess what? Adios. We took an entire back end load of Ave's Equinox of clothes to Goodwill or wherever you dropped them off at. I don't know where it was, but an entire in the Equinox, it was back filled. We had to put it in the back seat of clothes that we just had. Yeah, we just had. The last thing as Americans we need is more stuff. It's the last thing we need. We don't need more stuff. This year, after last Christmas, I have been over the whole, let's get a whole bunch of gifts. I've been over that for years. And finally, last year, we sat down and talked, and Sherry and I were just frustrated. Yeah, you were, yeah. Gifting is Sherry's love language, so this is why I have just, it's okay. You know, Sherry is a gifter. She likes to gift things to people. But after last year, she was frustrated because the girls have gotten older, and the gifts are a lot more difficult to buy for an older child. Right? It is next to impossible. What's the thing he gets now? Gift cards. Go and buy it yourself. Yeah, it's like, yeah, get your money and go get a gift. It's just easier that way. But But Sherry was so frustrated, and I said, well, how about we do this instead? How about we go on a trip instead of buying gifts? Use the money that we would have spent on that to go on a trip. That was the trip that we took to Branson back in October. We were going to do it in December and go to all the Christmas shows down there. But we, next year. Next year. But we're moving this year. And it's like, that is not going to happen. So we took this a little early in October. And that was a blast. That was by far probably the best idea for Christmas that we've had. I would love to do it over a Christmas holiday season one year and go to Branson and see all the Christmas shows. But here's something that I want to maybe just encourage you with. I know being creative is not everybody's thing. But give things that are either very practical, that somebody can actually use every day. Like Sherry gives me Pampered Chef stuff. That stuff's gonna get used. Yeah, it's gonna get used. Body wash. That'll get used. Or gift something that is time together with loved ones. And I don't need to remind you this year that life is short. We've had several people close to us that didn't make it this year. Take the time and spend it with them. Instead of buying a gift, give them the best thing you can give them. Give them yourself. Spend the time with them. Enjoy the moments that you get, because it is going to be those lasting memories. I can tell you one gift I remember. It was it was from my grandparents. I'm thinking of my gifts from my grandparents. You know, I can't remember what my grandparents ever gifted me except for one thing. It was a wild sweater. I mean, this thing was like, bam, in your face colors. I remember that. But other than that, I don't honestly remember a lot of the gifts that I was given. It was a lot of clothes, which was practical and I needed. But I don't remember actually the gift itself as much as I remember the time spent with them. That is the stuff I cherish now and I miss horribly. Oh, to have a day to sit down with my grandparents and talk about everything that's gone on for the last 17 years with Grandma and 7 with Grandpa. Oh, to have one day just to sit down with them one more time and just chew the fat again. Sometimes the best gift that we can give is ourself and not necessarily something material. The big thing here, other than that I want to point out is this. Ralphie absolutely, unequivocally knows what he wants for Christmas. But here's something I want to kind of bring into our minds. Since when do we actually know, number one, what we want, and number two, what's good for us? The BB rifle turns out to be probably not the best idea, because he immediately goes out and shoots and almost shoots his eye out. Yeah, broke his glasses and concocts a story. You know, God is the one that knows what's best for us. It is why it took him a while to get me on board with this move that we're doing. I had something else in mind. I was perfectly happy here. I was not going to move. I was happy. I was fine. I was content. But since when do we know what's best for us? That's kind of what's on my heart this year. It's like, since when do we know what we want and what's best for us? Later on in the movie, the kids are all outside standing around a pole at recess, and there's a showdown between Flick and Schwartz, I think are the kids' names. And they're arguing over whether or not your tongue is going to stick to a pole if you boys, indeed. The long story short, one kid, Triple Dog, dares him to stick his tongue to the flagpole, and it ends up getting stuck. The bell rings, and they all just leave him there. The poor kid is stuck to the flagpole, and everybody else goes, well, the bell rang. We got to go inside. Upon going inside and leaving him there, the teacher and all begins to question where Flick is. And they get him off the pole, and they find him, and oh my gosh. Fire department came, the police came, they got his tongue unstuck. He comes in with his bandage around his tongue, like, really? And the teacher comes in and gives him like a guilt trip. I'm sure the guilt that you feel is so much worse than any punishment that I could give. And the one thing out of the adult Ralphie narrator's voice is kids know it's better not to get caught. There's no remorse. There's no guilt. There's nothing. Along these lines, there's another scene where Ralphie is helping his dad change a tire. He's sitting there on his knees holding the hubcap, and Dad's getting all the lug nuts off of the car, and Dad comes back up and bumps the hubcap that has all the lug nuts in it. And the lug nuts go flying, and it's snow, it's white. Good luck. It's going to take you a while to find all the lug nuts. And Ralphie just comes out with a really bad word. Bad word. Oh, yeah. He says fudge in the movie. I like fudge as much as the next guy, but that's not the kind of fudge he's talking about. When they get home, Mom puts soap in his mouth, and he wants to know where he heard this word at. And adult Ralphie narrator's like, I've heard my dad say it 1,000,000 times, but I can't tell my mom that. And I chickened out and said, Schwartz. So Mom gets on the phone, calls up Schwartz, and Schwartz's mom, and there's this whole scene, and Schwartz's mom's like, what? And you can hear her beating him in the background, and just like, Ralphie on the voiceover says that it was his father, but ends up blaming it on somebody else. And then that next scene, Ralphie's lying in bed, and he's daydreaming of getting revenge on his parents for putting soap in his mouth. And he's like, in this daydream, he walks into the house blinded by soap poisoning, and he's sitting there smiling and just kind of that grin on his face. One more time, this movie personifies everything that is not what it should be. In both of these instances, in the tongue on the pole and the lug nuts and the soap in the mouth, there's no repentance. There's no guilt. There's no remorse. Even in the soap story, revenge is the theme. You see, this world, and again, none of us take responsibility for anything that we want to, that is our problem. We don't want to take responsibility for it. We must do that. As Christians, we must be the example, and when we are wrong, we must say we are wrong. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to my kids over the last 4 years when they come up to me and say, well, I thought you said this. I was wrong. That was before I understood things the way I understand them now. I apologize, but I was wrong. Here's the way it really is. Parents, grandparents, one of the things that we can do best for our families, for our friends, for the people who see us in our businesses every day, one of the best things we can do is admit when we are wrong. Instead of getting prideful or putting blame games, what we've done since the beginning of time, putting the blame on somebody else, admit when we are wrong. Philippians 2:3, do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind regard one another as more important than yourselves. Or Luke 17:3-4, be on your guard. If your brother sins, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times a day and returns to you 7 times, saying, I repent, forgive him. Out of the mouth of Jesus himself. Admit when you're wrong, and when somebody wrongs you and apologizes for it, forgive them. That is the command, because as Christ says elsewhere, as you forgive others, so will I forgive you. And if you're not very good at forgiving, right? The last scene I want to talk about today is the infamous leg lamp scene. Back in the day, now I know we are almost 30 years removed from this movie. I think it came out in 83 or 84. We're about 28 years removed from this movie. At the time, this was fairly risque. I mean, it's not something that is on everyday television. This leg lamp. But see, here's the thing. As we found out in the 30 years since that point, we found out that sex sells. It does. If somebody wants to sell a product, sex appeal is one of the ways that you sell something. It is how they market things. Ralphie can't keep his hands off the lamp. Mom's beating his hands and, Ralphie! But see, that's not all that's wrong with this scene. That's the blaring, the obvious one, right? But there's something else wrong with this scene. Pay attention to the father when he goes outside, because remember the scene, they get the box inside, he pries the lid open, he gets in there and, fluffing the stuff everywhere, gets it out, and he's like, it's a leg, and it's a lamp, and he gets it out and puts it right in the front window, and the first thing he does is he goes outside to the street to see what it looks like. People start gathering around. What is that? Well, it's a major award. Somehow we want people to think that we're more powerful and important than we really are. The bragging that the father does is, I don't want to say it's worse, but it's much more subtle. Because people brag. We do. And that's not necessarily a good thing. We shouldn't be bragging in and of ourselves. We should be bragging in and of Christ himself, not us, and what Christ has done through us. We are a culture of power and sex. Nowadays, you're going to see far worse than a leg lamp or bragging on primetime TV at 7 o'clock each night. Need I bring attention to some of the shows that are on TV, like Grey's Anatomy? That show's awful. It used to be good. It is now not. It's just like it's like daytime drama TV, only worse. It's awful. Yeah, streaming's, yeah. The Chosen has actually come up on Netflix, and it is climbing the charts very quickly. My brother and Erica and we were all kind of sitting down. It's only season 1 on Netflix, and we were sitting down watching through it this week or sometime in the last couple of weeks. And Keith looked at me and goes, why can't they have more of this stuff on TV? Pureflix does. But most of the stuff on TV, that's why I don't pay for cable. It's garbage. It's filth. It's just, for the life of me, I'm like, come on, people, seriously. Isaiah 64:6. For all of us have become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a filthy garment. And all of us wither like a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, take us away. We kind of get carried away in our own stuff. As bad as the TV is, we've all got. Bless you. We've all got our stuff that are our pet sins and stuff that we like. We've all got it. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. The best thing we can do is to put up boundaries, 1 Corinthians 4:5-8. Therefore, do not go on passing judgment before the time, but wait until the Lord comes, who will both bring to light these things hidden in the darkness and disclose the motives of men's hearts. And then each man's praise will come to him from God. Now these things, brethren, I have figuratively applied to myself and Apollos for your sakes, so that in us you may learn not to exceed what is written, so that none of you will become arrogant in behalf of one against the other. For who regards you as superior? What do you have that you did not receive? And if you did receive it, why do you boast as if you had not received it? You are already filled. You have already become rich. You have become kings without us. And indeed, I wish that you had become kings so that we might reign with you. You ready? It's not about you. I'm essentially what Paul's getting at here. It's the fact that we become prideful and arrogant, and we hold things up and look what I did. No. Look what God did through you. Not about you. Sure, now I'm not saying that you don't put forth effort or anything like that, but the attention's not on you. God had not given you the power to do it in the first place, you wouldn't have done it. We are a vessel conduit. I love the word conduit. So, all in all, I bet you weren't expecting me to tear down a movie that I actually really love. So we don't have to watch it this year. Don't worry, not every sermon is going to be like this one. There's actually some good things that we can pull out of this. There are a few things. We're going to look at in the coming weeks. We're going to look at the protection of mom over Ralphie. We're going to look at dad getting a special gift for his son that he had. We're going to look at where Christ is in the movie. Oh, it's subtle, but it is there. We're going to look at some of these things because sometimes in these movies, like Polar Express that I did a couple years ago, sometimes you have to look for these things, but they are there. And if you can pull them out and get around all the hubbub and all of the bad lessons, I did it this way on purpose. We got all the bad stuff out of the way first. This movie, here's the big idea. You ready? This is the big idea. Christmas isn't about materialism, pride, or selfishness, which is pretty much what this movie is. I mean, it's all about materialism, greed, pride, selfishness. That's pretty much what a Christmas story is about. At the heart of the movie, at least. But there are a few other things. The humility, the generosity, and seeking the kingdom of God first that are much more subtle themes, but they are there. use this Christmas season to maybe use the opportunity to reformat the way you celebrate Christmas, or the way you gift, or the way you do something. Allow the reason for the season to shine through. Mm-hmm. Don't just go out and get gifts just to get gifts, but make them purposeful, and make them something to where it's going to be a relationship builder. Here's another idea. Give a gift card, but you have to use it for the two of us to go out and spend some time together. I don't know, dinner, movie, Topgolf, whatever it is that, I don't know, bowling, hey, if you're feeling daring enough, go to like one of those, what are the indoor skydiving places? What are they called? Hey, there you go. Go skydive without actually getting in a plane, right? No. Yeah. Whew. Not this kid. Yeah. Wherever you're at this Christmas, I want to invite you to reformat your look on the season this year.